Okay, so what's the real purpose of those properties that we went through, those product, quotient, and power properties? Well, they help us solve log equations like I have written here. Um, so while in our first section we talked about going from here and expanding it, uh, it's often helpful to go the other way, to take an expanded version and condense them. So here, if you notice how they're all log base 6s, and that's important to us at this moment. So by the product property, we can simply do this. I can rewrite this as log base 6 of, combine these together, 9x. And then way back in section 2, we learned that if I have a log equal to a log and they're the same base, we can essentially say, here's our three little dots, that 9x is equal to 54, and x equals 6. And there you go. Not super tough, but that's using our product property to put them together, get log equals log, essentially drop the log off, and just set these two equal to each other and solve. Okay, let's see if we can do that again. See if we can take that same basic idea and apply it to number 2. So now let's subtract this time. So it's going to be log base 8 of 48 over w equals log base 8 of 4. All right, therefore, we can just simply say 48 over w equals 4. You can treat that like a proportion. Cross multiply. 4w equals 48. So w equals 12. All right, not super tough right there. Hopefully this all makes some sense to you. So here's a good opportunity for you to hit pause and give this one a shot. There's a little trick to this one first, but let's see if you can get it. Oh, before you do anything, hopefully you didn't hit pause and try it. I actually wanted you to make an adjustment here. We actually need to write this as 405. So sorry if you were killing yourself trying to come up with an answer. So let's do this part. First things first is notice that we have this number here. Let's actually do the reverse of the product property and bring that up. Okay. Now we can do product property. And so I'm going to rewrite this as log base 2 of x. Oops, I'm going to write it as 5x to the 4th equals log base 2 of 405. Okay, same basis here, so therefore 5x to the 4th equals 405. Let's see, divide, so I get x to the 4th equals 81. If you take the 4th root of both sides, remember you need a plus or minus here, but you get x equals plus or minus 3. Now, what's the problem with our answer? The problem with our answer is the negative part. You cannot have a negative in here. That's part of our kind of our restrictions on laws of logs. You cannot have that negative right there. So x can only equal 3. Got to get rid of that negative part right there. Okay, let's keep moving on. Let's see if we can come up with some other ideas that are, pardon me, let's see if we can solve some other of these types of equations here. What about this one? Now, this one's a little different because you don't have logs on every part. You have this one sitting here. So, how are we going to do this? Well, my suggestion to you is this. I'm going to move everything that has a log to one side and everything that doesn't have a log to the other. So that means I'm going to move this way, and I'm going to move this way. So when I do that, I get log base 6 of 2x minus 5 minus log base 6 of 7x plus 10 equals negative 1. Next, I'm going to do my quotient property, or the reverse of it. So it'll be log base 6 of 2x minus 5 over 7x plus 10 equals negative 1. Now you might be asking yourself, well, how does that help me? I can't do what I've done up here where I just dropped off my logs. Okay, I've done that for every one of these so far. Well, one thing that you can't forget is that logs are just another way of writing exponential functions. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this from log form into exponential form. Okay, so the way I would do that is I'd rewrite this as 6, okay, and then flip these around to the negative 1 equals all this stuff. Okay, and I can solve that. It's going to take a little bit of work, but I can definitely solve that. So how do I do that? Well, let's see. Well, 6 to the negative 1 is just 1/6. Okay, so now I just have a proportion, so let's just cross multiply. So I get 12x minus 30 equals 7x plus 10. Move this over, move that over, I end up getting 5x equals 40, x equals 8, just like that. So kind of tricky right there, but hopefully that made sense to you. And hopefully you noticed the difference that all these up here all had logs on every part. So that's why we did the whole drop the log off method. Versus here, this one didn't. So I moved everything to one side that had a log and the stuff that didn't have a log to the other side. And then I went through and I wrote it exponentially and solved. Okay, we got one last one. This one, kind of a long one, but this is a good opportunity for you to kind of apply what we just learned. So no mistakes on this one, I promise. So hit pause, give this one a shot, see if you can solve this one. Okay, so this is what I would do. I would do log base 2, and I would do 2x plus 8 on top. And I would do all this stuff on the bottom. Okay, so I would very simply, I would rewrite this exponentially. 2 to the negative third equals all of this good stuff. All right. Next, what I would do is I would just, well, I would fix this. I'd make this 1/8 over all this. And we get our proportion. So I would cross multiply. We get 16x plus 64 right here. And hopefully you know what to do the rest of the way. We're going to move everything to one side, and hopefully we can factor, but if we can't factor, maybe we'd do quadratic formula or something. So if I subtract 16 over and 64 over, I get 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. And that feels like it should factor, and I believe it does. So 2x and x, I would do plus 3 minus 1. So this would lead me to x equals 1/2 and x equals negative 3. Now what you need to do though is you need to at least do a mental check to make sure that if I plug those in, nothing bad would happen up here. If I plug in 1/2 here, I'll get a positive number here. Same thing over here. If I plug in negative 3, I still get a positive number here and here, so I'm okay. But that is something that you need to do at least a mental check of. You don't have to physically do it, but you need to make sure you do that because there are some restrictions that are involved with logs. So, okay, so that's that. Sorry that these were a decent amount of notes, but definitely necessary. As always, any questions? Make sure you bring those to class. Okay, thank you.